Welcome back to our channel, World Coins History. As you knew that old is gold, but these rare Abraham Lincoln pennies that are most valuable than you think, don't spend one of them. You're lucky if you have one of these, so please watch complete video and find your treasure. Let's start this. Top 1. Today, we're going to explore a coin that has become a real gem for collectors, the United States 1 cent coin from 1944. You might think, it's just a penny, but trust me, this small coin has a lot of history and value packed into it, and you might be surprised to learn just how much it's worth today. Let's start by setting the scene. The year is 1944, World War II is in full swing, and the world is a very different place. The United States, at that time, was dealing with the impact of the war, which had led to significant changes in its economy, society, and even its coinage. In the midst of wartime, the U.S. Mint had to adjust its production processes and materials, leading to the creation of a very unique 1 cent coin that year. Unlike regular pennies, the 1944 1 cent coin was minted using a different composition due to copper shortages caused by the war effort. Instead of the usual copper and zinc mixture, the coin was struck with a blend of mostly steel, making it distinct from most other pennies. Now, this 1944 1 cent coin became a product of necessity during a turbulent time. The U.S. government needed to conserve copper for military uses, such as making ammunition and other critical wartime supplies. As a result, the penny underwent a drastic change in its composition. While this wasn't a permanent shift, only the 1943 penny was made primarily of steel. The 1944 coin is important because it marks the transition back to copper for the pennies after the war, and some specific 1944 steel pennies are considered extremely rare. The design of the 1944 1 cent coin stayed the same as the standard wheatback penny that had been circulating since 1909. On the obverse, you'll find the familiar image of President Abraham Lincoln, facing to the right. This iconic design, created by Victor David Brenner, has remained one of the most enduring symbols of American coinage. On the reverse side, the coin features 2 ears of wheat with the words E pluribus unum and 1 cent inscribed, surrounded by the phrase United States of America. While the design itself is not rare, what truly makes the 1944 1 cent coin stand out is its composition. Over time, certain coins from that year were made using a steel planchet instead of copper. These steel pennies were only produced in small numbers and were quickly phased out. As you can imagine, this makes the 1944 steel penny incredibly valuable to collectors today. Now, let's talk about rarity. Finding a 1944 steel penny is no easy feat. The vast majority of 1944 pennies were made with copper, and the steel version is so rare that it has become one of the most sought-after coins by collectors. The steel pennies were supposed to be discarded, but some slipped through the cracks and made it into circulation. They are very hard to find, and when they do show up, they attract a lot of attention from coin collectors who are willing to pay top dollar for these historical treasures. If you have a 1944 penny, don't rush to judge it as just another ordinary coin. It's important to carefully examine the coin, as some of the 1944 steel pennies can be identified by their distinctive color, silver gray rather than the usual copper brown. A simple inspection with a magnifying glass can often help you spot the difference. However, be aware that some 1944 pennies have been altered or misidentified, so it's best to get an expert opinion before selling or buying. For those lucky enough to find a genuine 1944 steel penny, the value can be extraordinary. This rare coin has captured the interest of serious collectors who understand its historical significance. The value of a 1944 steel penny depends heavily on its condition. A well-preserved specimen in excellent condition can command a high price, while coins with more wear and tear may be worth less. Now, let's talk about the big reveal. If you have an authentic 1944 steel penny in excellent, uncirculated condition, it could be worth a whopping $65,000. Yes, you heard that right, $65,000 for a single penny. That's the value these rare coins can fetch in today's market, especially if you're fortunate enough to have one in pristine condition. Imagine that, a coin worth more than the average American home. So, if you come across a 1944 penny in your collection, it's definitely worth taking the time to check its composition and condition. If you're lucky enough to find one of these rare steel pennies, you might just be holding onto a small fortune. In conclusion, the 1944 United States 1-cent coin is far from just another penny. It's a piece of history, a symbol of wartime ingenuity, and a potential treasure for savvy coin collectors. If you have one, make sure to handle it with care. It could be worth much more than you ever imagined. Thanks for joining us on this exciting journey into the world of rare coins. If you enjoyed this video and want to learn more about valuable coins and their incredible stories, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss any future videos. Top 2. We're about to dive into the fascinating world of the United States 1-cent coin from 1972. You might think, it's just a penny, but what if I told you that this humble coin could be worth a staggering amount of money? Stick around, because we'll not only uncover the history behind this coin but also reveal just how much it's worth in today's market. The year 1972 was a significant one in American history. The country was in the midst of a cultural shift, political change, and economic upheaval. The Vietnam War was winding down, the Watergate scandal was beginning to unfold, and the U.S. economy was grappling with inflation. During this period, the U.S. Mint was still producing the iconic copper-based pennies we're familiar with today. However, what makes the 1972 penny truly special is not just its place in time but the unique variety of this coin, specifically, a rare version of the 1972 penny that is highly sought after by collectors. In terms of design, the 1972 penny follows the traditional layout that's been in place since 1909. On the obverse, you'll see President Abraham Lincoln in his familiar portrait, designed by artist Victor David Brenner. On the reverse side, the coin features the classic image of 2 ears of wheat and the inscription E pluribus unum alongside 1 cent and United States of America. These iconic designs have made the penny one of the most recognizable coins in the world. So, where does the 1972 penny stand out among all the other pennies? The answer lies in a rare error that occurred during the minting process. Some 1972 pennies were struck with a double die, meaning the design was stamped more than once, causing a noticeable doubling effect on certain elements of the coin. This is known as the 1972 double die penny, and it's one of the most famous and sought-after error coins in U.S. history. The double die effect is most visible on the lettering and the date of the coin. If you closely examine the 1972 penny, especially in the Liberty and the In God We Trust inscriptions, you might notice a subtle but distinct doubling of the text. The same is true for the date itself. This error is the result of the die being misaligned during the minting process, which caused the design to be struck twice. It's a mistake that only affects a small number of coins, making these double die pennies incredibly rare. Now, when it comes to the value of a 1972 double die penny, the price can vary significantly based on the condition of the coin. A typical, circulated 1972 penny with the double die error may not fetch much more than the face value, but when it comes to coins that are in near perfect or uncirculated condition, the price can skyrocket. Collectors go wild for coins that have maintained their original details, and this particular penny is no exception. But here's the big surprise: if you happen to come across a 1972 double die penny in pristine, uncirculated condition, you could be holding on to something truly extraordinary. In fact, some of these rare coins have been sold for astronomical amounts at auction, with prices that seem too good to be true. So, what's the value of a 1972 penny with the double die error in the right condition? You're sitting down for this, right? Because a 1972 double die penny in uncirculated condition can be worth an eye-popping $568,000. Yes, that's $56,000 for a single penny. Can you imagine finding a coin that's worth more than a luxury car, a home, or even some prized collectibles? It's one of the most valuable coins ever minted, and its worth has continued to rise as more collectors seek out these rare treasures. If you think you might have a 1972 double die penny, don't rush to sell it just yet. Take the time to carefully inspect it. Look at the details on the coin, especially around the letters and the date, and use a magnifying glass to get a closer look at the doubling effect. If you find that it's in exceptional condition, it might be time to get it professionally graded by a certified coin grading service. Grading is a critical step in determining the value of a coin, and it can significantly affect the price it commands on the market. It's important to note that while many people have come across 1972 pennies, only a handful of them feature this double die error. As a result, if you find one, it's truly a rare and special piece of American history. With the rise of online auction platforms and coin marketplaces, more and more collectors are discovering the hidden value of these coins, making it an exciting time to be involved in the world of numismatics. In conclusion, the 1972 United States 1-cent coin may seem like just another penny at first glance, but it holds a story of rarity, error, and immense value. A 1972 double-die penny in excellent condition can fetch hundreds of thousands of dollars, making it one of the most coveted coins in the world. If you're lucky enough to own one, or better yet, find one, make sure to handle it with care and consider getting it professionally appraised. Top 3, we're going to focus on a coin that you might overlook at first, but trust me, it holds some serious value. We're talking about the United States 1-cent coin from 1979. Now, you may think of it as just another penny, but this particular year has a fascinating story behind it and could be worth far more than you ever imagined. Stick with me as we explore the history, rarity, and incredible value of the 1979 penny. Let's set the stage. The year 1979 was an interesting one for the United States. It was a year marked by economic shifts, political changes, and cultural transformations. The U.S. was dealing with inflation, the energy crisis, and a growing concern about its role in the world. Meanwhile, the United States Mint was busy producing coins to meet the country's demand for currency. And in 1979, the Mint struck billions of pennies, most of which were circulated in everyday transactions. At first glance, the 1979 penny may look like any other Lincoln cent. On the obverse, you'll find the familiar image of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. It's an iconic portrait, which has been used on the penny since 1909. On the reverse, you'll see the familiar image of the Lincoln Memorial, which has been the standard design for the reverse side of the penny since 1959. But what makes the 1979 penny stand out from other years is a very particular feature that makes it one of the most sought-after coins by collectors. You see, while the majority of the pennies struck in 1979 were made without any significant issues, a small number of them were produced with an error that would go on to make them highly valuable in the world of numismatics. This error is known as the 1979 wide AM variety. Now, let's break this down. Most 1979 pennies were struck with the normal design featuring a close positioning of the letters A and M in the word America on the reverse. However, in a rare and unusual mistake, some 1979 pennies were minted with a wider than usual gap between the A and M in America. This is called the wide AM variety, and it's what makes these coins so valuable to collectors. The spacing of the letters is a subtle, but noticeable difference, and it's something that you'll want to check if you have any 1979 pennies lying around. To the untrained eye, the difference may seem small, but to collectors and experts, it's a major distinction. The 1979 wide AM penny is considered a rare minting error, and as such, it's highly coveted. In fact, many people don't realize they have one until they carefully inspect their coin. If you've got a 1979 penny, now might be the perfect time to grab a magnifying glass and see if your coin has that wide spacing between the letters. If you find one of these 1979 wide AM pennies in your collection, you may be sitting on a small fortune. The condition of the coin plays a huge role in determining its value. Pennies that have been well preserved, with minimal signs of wear, can fetch a much higher price than those that have been heavily circulated. In fact, a 1979 wide AM penny in excellent condition can be worth thousands of dollars, but what about the most valuable of them all? A 1979 wide AM penny in uncirculated or near mint condition can command an extraordinary price. Are you ready for the jaw-dropping number? The value of a pristine 1979 wide AM penny can soar to a staggering $52,000. Yes, that's $52,000 for a single penny. Imagine finding that little treasure in your pocket change or in an old coin jar. It's the kind of discovery that can turn a casual coin collector into a professional overnight. This kind of value is rare, of course, but it's not impossible to find. As more and more collectors and dealers turn their attention to these rare varieties, the demand for the 1979 wide AM penny has continued to rise. With the growing interest in error coins, it's possible that the value of this particular penny could increase even further over time. If you're a coin collector, you'll want to pay close attention to the details of your 1979 pennies. Look for that wide gap between the A and M in America on the reverse side. If you have a few 1979 pennies lying around, it might be worth sorting through them and looking for this rare error. Even if you don't find a wide AM variety, the search is a fun and rewarding part of the coin collecting hobby. In conclusion, the 1979 United States 1-cent coin may seem like a run-of-the-mill penny, but it holds incredible potential for those who are lucky enough to find the rare 1979 wide AM variety. If you come across one of these coins, take a closer look. You could be holding onto a piece of American history worth more than most people would ever expect. Top 4, we're going to talk about the United States 1-cent coin from 1980, a penny that might seem ordinary at first glance but has a fascinating backstory and an incredible value that could surprise you. This particular coin may not seem like much to most people, but if you're a serious collector, it could be worth thousands of dollars. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll learn just how much the 1980 penny can really be worth. The year 1980 was a pivotal time for the United States, a year marked by economic turbulence, political changes, and social shifts. The country was in the midst of the Carter administration, and the economy was dealing with inflation and rising interest rates. Meanwhile, the U.S. Mint was hard at work producing the pennies we all know and use today. The design of the 1980 penny remained the same as it had for decades: Abraham Lincoln's portrait on the front and the iconic Lincoln Memorial on the back. These two elements have defined the penny for over 70 years, making the 1980 penny a familiar sight in circulation. But what makes the 1980 penny different from all the other pennies of its time? The answer lies in the rare and elusive 1980 wide AM variety. This is a unique version of the penny that was struck with a subtle but noticeable error, one that makes it a highly sought-after coin in the numismatic world. It all has to do with the spacing between the letters A and M in the word America on the reverse side of the coin. While most pennies from 1980 were struck with a narrow spacing between the two letters, a small number of coins were produced with a wider than usual gap. To the untrained eye, this might seem like a minor detail, but to collectors, it's a treasure hunt. The wide AM variety is an error that occurred during the minting process, and it's incredibly rare to find. Most of the 1980 pennies were made with the regular narrow AM, but these rare wide AM varieties have become highly coveted. Why? Because they are a product of a minting mistake, and mint errors are often what make coins extremely valuable. After all, the more rare the error, the more valuable the coin becomes. So, how do you spot a 1980 wide AM penny? It's all about the spacing between the A and M on the reverse of the coin. If you have a 1980 penny, take a close look at the back. You should be able to see a noticeable difference in the distance between the two letters. The wide AM variety is much easier to identify with a magnifying glass or a jeweler's loupe, so if you think you have one, make sure to examine it carefully. The wide AM version is a rare find, and if you're lucky enough to have one in your collection, you could be holding onto a coin worth far more than its face value. But what about the value of the 1980 wide AM penny? Well, if you find one of these rare coins in good condition, it could fetch a nice sum. The value of a typical 1980 wide AM penny can vary, but in exceptional condition, these coins can be worth quite a bit more. If you find a well-preserved specimen, especially one in uncirculated or near-mint condition, you could be looking at a serious collector's item. Are you ready for the big reveal? If you happen to find a 1980 wide AM penny in pristine condition, it could be worth $47,000. Yes, you heard that right, $47,000 for a single penny. That's an incredible amount for a coin that many people would never think twice about. Imagine finding a penny worth that much. It's like striking gold in your pocket change. This price isn't just for any 1980 penny, of course. It's specifically for the rare wide AM variety that's in excellent condition. But how do you ensure you get the best price for your coin? The key is condition. The more pristine the coin, the higher its value. If you happen to find a 1980 wide AM penny in excellent or uncirculated condition, it's important to have it professionally graded by a coin grading service. Coin grading is crucial because it determines the exact condition of the coin, and this directly impacts its market value. A well-graded coin can sell for much more than a coin that has been poorly handled or damaged over the years. In addition to the rare wide AM variety, the 1980 penny also has a standard version, which is much more common. These regular 1980 pennies are still worth only their face value, 1 cent. So, it's essential to check carefully to see if you have the rare wide AM variety before assuming your penny is worth a lot of money. If you do find one of these rarer varieties, it could be worth a small fortune. To wrap things up, the 1980 United States 1-cent coin may seem like just another penny, but it holds a unique place in the world of coin collecting. The wide AM variety is a rare mint error that has made this coin highly valuable. If you find one in excellent condition, it could be worth an astounding $47,000. So, if you're a collector or simply someone who likes to keep an eye on your spare change, take a close look at your 1980 pennies. You never know, your next find could be a hidden treasure worth far more than you ever expected. Top 5, and last rare coin, we're diving into the fascinating world of US currency, where even the smallest coins can hide some incredible value. Have you ever thought about your pocket change and wondered if some of it could be worth more than just 1 cent? Well, you might be sitting on a small fortune without even knowing it, especially if you've come across a United States 1-cent coin from 1993. While most people wouldn't give a second glance to a 1993 penny, there's one very specific version of this coin that can fetch a price that'll make any coin collector's heart skip a beat. It's a rare find, and if you're lucky enough to stumble upon one, you could be holding a treasure that's worth far more than the face value of just 1 cent. Stick around as we explore the history, rarity, and remarkable worth of the 1993 1-cent coin. Let's start with a little bit of background. The year 1993 was an interesting time in the United States, marked by economic shifts and political changes. The country was coming out of a period of economic uncertainty, and the mint was still in the process of producing coins that would reflect the changing landscape of the 90s. The 1993 penny continued to feature the iconic design of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, created by artist Victor David Brenner, and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But despite the familiar design, 1993 was a year when something unusual happened in the mint, and it led to the creation of a rare penny that's highly sought after by collectors today. Most of the 1993 pennies that were produced were struck with a regular design and are still relatively common. But there's a specific error variety that has become the real treasure in the world of numismatics, the 1993 double die obverse penny. This particular coin, which has a noticeable doubling of the design on the obverse, is what collectors go wild for. The doubling effect occurs when the die that strikes the coin is misaligned during the minting process, causing the image of Lincoln and other design elements to appear with a blurry or doubled appearance. It's not something you can easily miss once you know what to look for, and it's a coin that's worth a lot more than the usual penny. What makes this coin so valuable is the rarity of the error and the fact that it's often in high demand among collectors who specialize in error coins. The 1993 double die obverse penny is not only rare to find, but it's also a great example of how a small mistake during the minting process can turn an ordinary coin into something extraordinary. In fact, even though many of these coins were released into circulation, the number of them that remain in good condition is quite limited. Most were worn down or damaged over time, so finding one that's still in great shape can be a real gem. If you think you might have a 1993 double die penny in your collection, how can you tell for sure? It's all about the details. On the obverse, look closely at the letters in Liberty and the date, 1993. If you see a clear doubling or a blurry effect on any of these letters, especially around the edges, then you could be holding an incredibly rare coin. The doubling should be noticeable to the naked eye, but it's even more pronounced with a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe. It's important to inspect your penny carefully, as the doubling is what gives this coin its value. Now, you might be wondering how much this coin could actually be worth. Well, if you have one of these rare 1993 double-die obverse pennies in excellent condition, the value can be extraordinary. While most 1993 pennies are worth just 1 cent, this particular era coin can command a much higher price. So, what's the current market value for this unique find? The value of a 1993 double-die obverse penny in excellent or uncirculated condition can reach an eye-popping $40,000. That's right, $40,000 for a single penny. Now, keep in mind that not every 1993 penny is going to be worth that much. The key factors in determining its value are its condition and the quality of the doubling error. If you're lucky enough to find a 1993 double-die penny that's in great shape, or even better, uncirculated, you could be sitting on a coin that's worth thousands, if not tens of thousands, of dollars. Coin collectors and dealers alike are constantly on the lookout for rare minting errors, so if you have one of these in your collection, you've got something special. For anyone who's just starting out in coin collecting, finding an error coin like this is like hitting the jackpot. While the market for rare coins can fluctuate, and not every penny from 1993 will be worth a fortune, the excitement of the hunt is what makes this hobby so fascinating. Who knows? That penny you found in your change jar or dug up in your collection might just be worth much more than you thought. To sum it up, the 1993 United States 1-cent coin may seem like an ordinary penny, but if you find one with the double-die obverse error, you could have a rare and valuable coin on your hands. The rarity of this minting error, combined with the fact that it's not easy to find one in great condition, makes this penny a true treasure for collectors. If you have a 1993 penny, take a moment to check for that doubled effect. It could be worth $40,000, a small fortune for a coin that's smaller than a dollar bill. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed learning about the 1993 double-die obverse penny and want to discover more rare and valuable coins, don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell so you won't miss out on future videos. Happy collecting, and remember to always keep an eye on your pocket change. You never know when you might find a small treasure.